There's basically just, someone who brought a civil case and now is finding themselves as a witness in a criminal case. And we're going to fight this case with everything we have, as is he. And eventually he's going to be shown to be innocent.
Absolutely. He should get a fucking year for every year he was operating.
The stories around Jay-Z, Diddy, and R. Kelly have sparked serious conversations in both the media and the music world. These men are influential figures, shaping hip-hop and R&B music for decades, but their involvement in disturbing accusations cannot be ignored. The unfolding events around these three men have raised numerous questions about the darker side of fame, power, and what happens when that power is abused. R. Kelly, in particular, has been at the center of one of the most shocking scandals in music history. Jay-Z and Diddy, while initially not the primary focus, have also been drawn into the controversy due to their past associations with R. Kelly and other troubling accusations. The case of R. Kelly has been well documented, especially in the past few years. While he once stood tall as one of R&B's most celebrated artists, his legacy has now been stained by the horrifying revelations about his abusive behavior. R. Kelly was charged and convicted for crimes involving underage girls, most of which took place over the span of decades. His actions were not only appalling, but were allowed to go unchecked for a long time because of his status. The public and legal system failed to protect the many young women who became his victims.
The accusations that she's made in this document, if they find a hint of truth, or once it goes public, the feds monitor everything. And you're a public figure. The general population is going to read this, the news are going to report on it.
Only in the past few years has justice started to catch up with him, with a Lifetime documentary exposing many of his crimes, bringing him into the public eye once again. His conviction has come as a result of years of allegations finally being taken seriously by the law.
I felt special. I actually thought that I was his girlfriend. I was living up there at that point. We were together all the time. I had no reason to question that we weren't. Life in the studio was kind of boring for the most part. You really couldn't have much interaction other than, I couldn't have much interaction with anyone other than Robert.
The turning point in R. Kelly's downfall came with the release of the documentary Surviving R. Kelly, which showed the extent of his predatory behavior. The documentary featured interviews with many of his victims, detailing their harrowing experiences. These brave women described how R. Kelly manipulated them, abused them, and used his power in the music industry to control their lives. The documentary sparked outrage and led to a renewed investigation into R. Kelly's actions. Ultimately, this culminated in his arrest and conviction, but R. Kelly's downfall also shed light on other major figures in the music world, specifically Jay-Z and Diddy, two men who had worked with R. Kelly in the past and have now found themselves connected to his criminal activities in different ways. Both men had collaborated with R. Kelly on major projects during the height of their careers, raising questions about what they knew and why they chose to work with him, despite the rumors surrounding his behavior even back then. Jay-Z, for instance, worked with R. Kelly on 2 albums, The Best of Both Worlds and Unfinished Business. These collaborations came after it was widely known that R. Kelly had married the late singer Aaliyah when she was just 15 years old. This marriage was illegal and annulled shortly after, but the fact that R. Kelly was involved with a minor was no secret. Many were surprised that Jay-Z would continue to work with him, given the seriousness of the allegations against R. Kelly at that time. Damon Dash, a close friend of Jay-Z and a former partner in Rockefeller Records, has been very vocal about his disappointment in Jay-Z for working with R. Kelly. Dash had been romantically involved with Aaliyah before her untimely death in 2001, and has stated in interviews that he could not understand why Jay-Z would work with someone who had hurt someone he cared about deeply.
We had to do what we had to do. So it was like a year or two that went on that no one noticed, but Biggs and Jay just didn't speak. And so it was like a process. And now that, in hindsight, it's 20 years later.
Damon Dash's perspective adds another layer of complexity to the situation. According to him, Jay-Z's decision to collaborate with R. Kelly not once but twice was baffling. Dash has expressed his discomfort with the situation, stating that he distanced himself from the projects and did not want any of the money made from the albums. He said he found it hard to believe that someone as close to him as Jay-Z would overlook the harm that R. Kelly had caused, especially when it involved someone like Aaliyah, who was a part of their lives.
It does make us ask, because a lot of things happen in that interview to where, I gotta, before we even talk about where you've been.
Yeah.
You touched on, you brought a lot of light to R. Kelly and Aaliyah's situation.
Yeah.
And this is when Survivor R. Kelly had just kind of started.
Yeah.
and you had shown some light on that, and then to see where it is now, to see 30 years given, and you were like saying this is what was going on. I mean, do you feel like the documentary did that, or do you feel like this was just this was gonna happen with him still living the way he was living, or just based on never owning up to it, like the way you would own up to?
I think he was an acceptable monster at the time. Do I think he deserves it? Absolutely. He should get a fucking year for every year he was operating.
The controversy doesn't end with Jay-Z. Diddy, another music mogul, has also found himself under scrutiny in light of recent events. There have been allegations that Diddy was aware of, or even participated in, criminal activities similar to those R. Kelly was convicted for. While the investigations into Diddy are still ongoing, the fact that his name has come up in connection to these serious crimes has raised concerns. Some sources have even suggested that Diddy might face charges related to sexual misconduct and exploitation, much like R. Kelly.
The indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct.
The ongoing investigations into Diddy have uncovered disturbing details that have not yet been fully made public. Rumors suggest that law enforcement officials are looking into whether Diddy was involved in a wider network of exploitation within the music industry. If true, this could open up a Pandora's box of new accusations, not only against Diddy, but potentially against others in his circle as well. Diddy has maintained his innocence, but the allegations are severe, and they have already damaged his public image. R. Kelly himself has not remained silent despite being imprisoned. He has made it clear through his legal team that he believes other powerful figures, including Diddy and Jay-Z, are also guilty of criminal activities similar to his. R. Kelly's defense strategy appears to involve naming names in hopes of reducing his sentence. His legal team has hinted that Kelly may have explosive information about other high-profile figures, and he may be willing to share this information in exchange for a deal with prosecutors. Whether or not this will help R. Kelly remains to be seen, but it has certainly added to the drama surrounding his case.
So I was with a group of brothers on a guys trip, and the first thing they asked me about that, first thing I said to them is either his lawyers committed malpractice or they did not convince him well enough. So let's say I'm his lawyer. Cassie's lawyer sends me this lawsuit. I read through this, I get to page 6. I said, hey man, get your checkbook ready.
One of the most unsettling aspects of this entire saga is how long it took for these accusations to come to light and be taken seriously. For years, both R. Kelly and Diddy were untouchable, their fame and influence shielding them from scrutiny. Even as rumors swirled about their behavior, there was little done to hold them accountable. The entertainment industry has a history of protecting powerful men, allowing them to continue their abusive behavior unchecked. This is part of a larger systemic issue, where victims are often silenced and abusers are allowed to continue their actions without facing consequences.
R. Kelly was the first corporately sponsored pedophile in the United States. Everybody knew. That's why I couldn't really watch that documentary, because half of the people that was in there, I can't believe he did it. Nigga, you used to go get the bitches too. I watched you, dog. I watched y'all make these deals. Don't nobody want to talk about Aaliyah.
The fallout from R. Kelly's conviction has been significant. It has led to a wider discussion about the role of power and influence in the music industry and how these can be used to exploit vulnerable individuals. Many of the women who came forward to testify against R. Kelly have spoken about how they were afraid to speak up for so long because they felt no one would believe them. They feared retaliation, both from R. Kelly himself and from the industry that had allowed him to thrive for so long. The courage of these women has been remarkable, and their bravery has inspired others to speak out against the abuse they have suffered at the hands of powerful men in the industry. But the question remains, what about those who worked closely with R. Kelly? What did they know, and when did they know it? Jay-Z and Diddy are two of the biggest names in hip-hop, and their past associations with R. Kelly have come under intense scrutiny. Jay-Z, in particular, has faced questions about why he chose to collaborate with R. Kelly on 2 albums, despite the rumors that were already circulating about his behavior. While Jay-Z has not been accused of any criminal wrongdoing himself, his decision to work with R. Kelly has led some to question his judgment.
We brought him to New York about 2 weeks ago because we knew this day was going to come.
Where was 50 on Monday? Also in New York, making an appearance on the Drew Barrymore Show.
What are you looking for? And do you know what you're looking for?
Yeah, but just real friendship.
Friendship, but not with Diddy.
You ain't a friend of mine. You ain't no kin of mine.
50 posting a sweet picture of him and Drew on Instagram.
Diddy's situation is potentially even more serious. The investigations into his behavior are still ongoing, but if the allegations against him are proven to be true, it could lead to criminal charges. The fact that R. Kelly has hinted that he has information about Diddy's involvement in criminal activities only adds to the sense that there is more to this story than what has been publicly revealed so far. Recently, Diddy was arrested and charged with serious crimes in New York. These charges include sex trafficking, racketeering, and prostitution. The judge did not allow Combs to be released on bail, and he is being held in jail. Combs says he is not guilty, and his lawyer said he will fight the charges until the end. His lawyer also said that Combs is looking forward to clearing his name. The accusations against Combs are very serious. The charges say that Combs was involved in these criminal activities for many years, starting in 2008. Prosecutors say that Combs was part of a large criminal group. This group was involved in many crimes, including forced labor, bribery, and kidnapping. Prosecutors also say that Combs abused and threatened women to protect his reputation. Combs' case is connected to more victims, but prosecutors have not said how many people were hurt. The investigation is still ongoing, and more people could be charged. Combs is accused of organizing events where women were forced to take part in sexual activities. Prosecutors say that he gave these women drugs to control them. They also say that he used violence and threats to make the women do what he wanted. Combs allegedly used his power, money, and business to keep control over his victims. Combs has also been accused of carrying guns to scare people and stop them from telling the police about what he did.
What we see. In March, Fox 11 broke the story that federal authorities raided Combs' Holmby Hills home for the criminal investigation.
We recovered 3 AR-15s.
Court documents now reveal authorities located AR-15s, narcotics, and more than 1,000 bottles.
When federal agents searched Combs' homes, they found weapons, including AR-15 rifles. Combs' lawyer says that Combs is a famous person who has done a lot of good things in his life. He asks that people not judge Combs until all the facts are known. Now, before you leave, don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell while you're down there.